multiple ovulation embryo transfer technology. By using this technique, we have increased the success rate of this insemination, artificial insemination, and we have increased the herd size within a short period of time. So that is okay to improve chances of successful production of hybrids. Other means are also used. In that, the very important one is the multiple ovulation embryo transfer technology. Okay, when you observe here, generally in case of mammals or the cattle that we are rearing, okay, they also usually produce only one individual at one time. Okay, for example, if you take okay, the cows, buffaloes, goat, sheep, camel, horse. Okay, all these organisms usually produce only one ovum at a time during the estrus cycle. Okay, during the cycle that they are undergoing, and each cycle they usually produce only one ovum in each estrus cycle, because these are all estrus cycles showing, okay, producing organisms. So in each estrus cycle they produce only one, and they undergo only once in a year the estrus cycle. Okay, so but here what we are doing, we are making the female produce more than one ovum. That is what we are calling it as a multiple ovulation. And next, after the multiple ovulation, it is followed by artificial insemination. Because of this artificial insemination, okay, all the ova that are produced are allowed to undergo fertilization. As a result, they develop into many embryos. That is okay. That means multiple ovulation leads to multiple embryos. But the uterus of that female will not able to bear such a large number of embryos. That means that embryos are unable to grow in that uterus of that female. So what we have to do, we have to take out those embryos which are developed in that superior female, and those embryos are taken out, they are used into another animal, another female, uterus of another female. That is what we call surrogate mother, because they are not producing the ovum. Okay, in that the fertilization is not taking place, just they are carrying the embryos. Okay, they are facilitating the embryos to develop into young ones, and finally they give birth to calves, the young calves, and which later develop, okay, and that one, okay, that are hybrids, because here we are selecting different groups of organisms, and successfully we are undergoing fertilization. So that means we are producing many ova, and all these ova are allowed to undergo fertilization, and we are developing many embryos, and later the embryos from that male, okay, from that female is transferred into another female organism, the embryos, and and this superior female is again allowed to produce many ova. So while you are selecting to produce the ova, every time we'll select the superior females only. That means the females with the best qualities. From that only we'll produce the ova. And while you are selecting the semen for artificial insemination, the semen is collected from the superior males only. That means the males of best qualities and allowed to undergo fertilization. So automatically, okay, the progeny that is produced will also show some superior qualities over the mother and father are around the, okay, parents. Okay, they show superior qualities of both the parents. Okay, that is so that's why this multiple ovulation and embryo transfer has developed as embryo transfer technology has much popularized. Okay, and next, we can see here very detailed. Multiple ovulation embryo transfer technology, how it is done is one such program for herd improvement. That means if you want to produce more number of individuals in a herd, we can undergo this MOET, that is a multiple ovulation embryo transfer technology. So in this method, a cow is administered hormones with FSH like activity to induce follicular maturation and super ovulation. Here, super ovulation. What is meant by super ovulation? Super ovulation means the production of more than one ova at a time. Super ovulation. That is, instead of one egg, which they normally yield per cycle, they produce 6 to 8 eggs. Okay, 6 to 8 eggs. That means usually it will produce only one egg in each cycle, in each estrous cycle. But because of giving certain hormones artificially, which are having this FSH like activity, that is a follicle stimulating hormone like activity, they help in the development of more number of follicles, and they produce 6 to 8 eggs. And now these eggs which are produced, all they are allowed to undergo fertilization. That means the animal is either mated, that means the female, the female has super ovulated by injecting hormones like FSH like activity or FSH. The animal is either mated with an elite bull, that means the bull with desirable qualities or desirable characters, or artificially inseminated. That means the semen which was collected from the superior male or breed. So the animal is either mated with the elite. If the bull is available at the same time, we can go with the elite. We can go with that. The insemination can be done with the elite bull directly. Or if the bull is not available, then we can go with the artificial insemination. We'll call for the veterinary doctor, and the veterinary doctor will come and and he will inseminate. Desirable bull, the semen collected from the desirable bull. And next, the fertilized eggs. That means the eggs are allowed to undergo fertilization, and the eggs are allowed to transform into zygotes, and the zygotes slowly they start dividing and they develop into embryos. When the embryos are of 8 to 32 cell stage, when the embryos are at the age of 8 to 32 cell stage, are recovered non-surgically and transferred to surrogate mothers. That means, for example, 8 embryos are developed. These 8 embryos, all of them, they will not leave anyone. Even one is also not allowed to develop inside the superior female. All the 8 embryos which are developed in the superior female or in the super ovulated female, all those 8 embryos are taken out, are introduced into the uterus of 8 different cows. And these 8 cows, we are calling it as surrogate mothers. They are called as surrogate mothers, are recovered non-surgically and transferred to surrogate mothers. And next, the genetic mother is available for another round of superovulation. So why we are not allowing the even one embryo to develop inside that superior female means, because that superior female, if you allow it to grow for a if you allow the embryo to grow means it will take around 1 year, and later again if it wants to produce the ovum, again it will take some around another 1 more year. So totally 2 years will be wasted. Okay, so to get rid of that, okay, all the embryos are taken out non-surgically and they are introduced into the uterus of the surrogate mothers, where the further development of embryos into young calves will be taken place. And now, okay, this superior female which has undergone superovulation, now it is ready for another round of superovulation. Now again, okay, it is injected with the hormones like FSH like activity, and again it is superovulated, and again it is artificially inseminated or okay, inseminated with the elite bull. Okay, mated with the elite bull, and again the 8 embryos are developed. Again they are transferred into 8 ones. Okay, here one thing you have to remember. Okay, the surrogate mothers which we are using, okay, they are not genetical mothers. They do, okay, the embryos which are developing will not get any characteristics of the surrogate mother. Whichever the mother you take, no problem, because here the characters are not transferred from the surrogate mother to the developing embryo. Okay, we are using this surrogate mother only for the development of the embryo into calf. Okay, no introduction of any genes of this surrogate mother. Only whatever the characters that are associated with the elite bull and the superior female which we have selected, which is super ovulated, only those animal characters are only present in the calf, newly developed hybrid or calf. So that's why, okay, and that first super ovulated cow, we can also call them as a genetic mother, because it is only providing genetic to that calf. So the genetic mother is available for another round of superovulation. The superovulated cow, okay, superior female or superovulated cow or genetic mother, all are same. All are same. They are one only. Okay, superovulated cow, and next, okay, and next superior female which we have selected to produce the ova, the superior female, superovulated cow, and the genetic mother, all are referring to only one cow which we are using to produce the ovum and embryos. So the genetic mother is now available for another round of superovulation. That means again we can give another dose of hormone to produce more ova. And this technology has been demonstrated for cattle, sheep, rabbits, buffaloes, mares, etc. Okay, that means those animals which are slow breeders. Those animals which are slow breeders. Okay, for pig, there is no need, because they normally they produce 12 to 20 piglets in one breeding. So for them, no need. No, there is no need of this. Okay, multiple ovulation embryo transfer, because already they produce a huge number of progeny in one breed or in one cycle. So for those members, we are not using. We are using for the animals which are slow breeders. Okay, which will produce usually only one or two young ones at one time. Okay, in that case, we are producing more ova, more embryos, and more number of animals in one cycle. Okay, like cattle. Okay, like cows, buffaloes, sheep. Okay, goats, rabbits, mares. There is horse, etc.
Dogs.
Yes, dogs. They usually they produce more progeny only. No. Okay. So that's, and next, high milk yielding breeds of females and high quality lean meat with a less lipid meat yielding bulls have been bred successfully to increase the herd size in a short time. So when you are selecting the female, okay, when you are selecting the female, what is the character? We'll check it means, okay, that is the milk yielding, high milk yielding. Then when you are selecting the male, what is the character that we select means, okay, meat yielding, lean meat, soft meat. Okay, generally when you go to the market, okay, which meat you will prefer? Soft meat only. If the meat is so hard, this is very hard. Okay, if you go to a, okay, once you went to one chicken stall and you bought the chicken, okay, chicken, and you bought and you cooked, and you found that it is so hard and not soft, then again you will go to the chicken stall? No. Okay, we'll change to another chicken stall where okay, we'll find soft chicken. Okay, in the same way in the meat, okay, the meat also, the other meats, okay, whatever the meat we'll select, okay, it might, okay, it has to be soft and okay, so lean meat with less lipid, that is fat content has to be less, but it has to be soft. Lean meat means soft. Okay, and such males are selected as bulls, and by crossing these two we can get okay, if you get male means, okay, we'll get a with less lipid, and if you get female means high yielding female will get. Okay, so that's how we can get it. Okay, so meat yielding bulls have been bred successfully to increase the herd size in a short time. So by using this MOET, that is multiple ovulation embryo transfer technology, okay, we have increased the herd size within a short period of time. Okay, that is about this multiple ovulation embryo transfer. So first we have to select the superior female, and this superior female is undergone a super ovulation. Okay, how super ovulation is done means by injecting a hormone like okay, like FSH like activity. Okay, by using this okay, by using this what we are doing instead of produce one, we are producing 6 to 8 eggs at a time in each cycle. Okay, after producing 6 to 8 eggs in the superior female or super ovulated cow, now it is either mated with a light bull, that is the bull with desirable characters, or we can undergo artificial insemination of desired semen collected from the superior male, which is showing desirable characters. And now, okay, now all the eggs are allowed to undergo fertilization. As a result, we'll get 8 embryos. Okay, when the embryos are at the stage of 8 to 32 cell stage, in between 8 to 32 cell stage, they are taken out non-surgically. Remember this, non-surgically. Okay, a lot of times they have asked in the NEET examination. Okay, how we are, okay, in MOET. In MOET, in multiple ovulation embryo transfer technology, how the eggs are transferred. Okay, the eggs are transferred non-surgically. Sorry, the embryos are transferred non-surgically into the surrogate mothers. Okay, either statement based. Okay, statement based question like that. Okay, the embryos are transferred non-surgically into the surrogate mothers.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, and next, after transferring into the surrogate mothers, the embryos, all the 8 embryos are transferred, and now the male, okay, the superior female is ready for another round of super ovulation by injecting FSH. Okay, okay. Generally, this technique is employed in the slow breeders like cattle. Okay, cattle, that is cows, buffaloes, goat, sheep, horse, okay, rabbits, like this. That is about this artificial methods of animal breeding. Anybody is having any doubt regarding AI and MOET? Okay, this is very, very important. A lot of times they have asked some questions related to this artificial breeding techniques. Okay, AI and MOET. in 2 mark, 3 mark, and 1 mark or 2 mark, 3 mark questions. Okay, so this is very, very important. Okay, next, coming to the beekeeping, that is okay, rearing of honeybees. Okay, rearing of honeybees, or we can say beekeeping. Okay, it is technically called as apiculture. Why it is named as apiculture means the scientific name of honeybee is Apis. The genus name is Apis, and there are different species, okay, which are used to obtain honey. So, as this scientific name is Apis, so that's why we are calling it as apiculture. So, beekeeping or apiculture is the maintenance of hives of honeybees for the production of honey. So, okay, how the honey is obtained means honey is obtained from beehive. So here, what the farmer has to do means the farmer has to maintain the beehive. Okay, then only will collect the nectar, and the nectar is converted into honey, and the honey is stored in the hives, and which can be harvested by the farmer. So what the farmer has to do means the farmer has to maintain this beehive or hives. Then only the honeybees can produce honey. Okay, and next, when you observe this honey, okay, beekeeping or apiculture, it has been an age-old cottage industry. That means it is a small industry. It is not. Generally, when you observe here, okay, the beekeeping is not done separately. The beekeeping usually it is not done separately. It is always associated with some other agricultural practice, like okay, that means orchards. Okay, we'll find orchards. Okay, okay, like citrus fruits. Okay, there's those who are growing citrus fruits or some other okay plants. Okay, along with that crops, they used to place this beehive because it is useful for both. Okay, especially during the flowering seasons. Especially during the flowering seasons, they used to grow these beehives. As a result, the beehive is okay. The bees will get benefited, and the plants also getting benefited because the plants get pollinated, and the beehives will get a nectar, and that will be used for production of honey. Okay, during during non-flowering seasons, usually the production of honey will not be good. So that's why at the time of flowering season, usually the farmers used to place this bees and raise the bees. So like that, so it is developed cottage industry. That means not as a primary one, as a small industry along with other ones they started. So it has been an age-old cottage industry. Okay, why we are making use of this honey? Honey is a food of high nutritive value. Okay, it is highly nutritious. Okay, rich in energy. Because when you observe the honey, what is the component? Okay, what is the component that is present in the honey means? It is made up of fructose. It doesn't have glucose. It is having fructose. So it does not increase the glucose levels in the blood of human because it is fructose. So it is directly absorbed and it is used the production directly without conversion into glucose, because fructose can be directly used for energy production in our body. So it is good for diabetic patients also who are having the problems of high glucose levels in their blood. So honey is a food of high nutritive value and also finds use in the indigenous systems of medicine. Okay, usually we'll use Ayurveda. Okay, in Ayurveda, okay, we use honey. That means most of them they say, okay, take this medicine along with honey. because most of them, this okay, this indigenous medicines are bitter in taste. So what to avoid that bitterness of that, what they will do means they ask you to mix up with the honey and take this medicine. Okay. So that is so okay, and also finds use in the indigenous systems of medicines, and it is easily absorbed and digested and improves the digestion process. So that's why they used to take this honey. Okay, and next, along with this honey, another important product that is obtained from the beehive is honey bee also produces beeswax. Wax. When you observe the beehive is constructed with the help of wax, beeswax. Okay. When you observe the abdomen of okay, these bees consists of some specialized glands called wax glands. Okay, these wax glands will produce the wax and helps in the construction of this beehive. Okay, and that beeswax, okay, that wax is also used in a lot of industries. Okay, produces beeswax, which finds many uses in industry, such as in the preparation of cosmetics and polishes of various kinds. Okay, in cosmetics, different creamy cosmetics we are making use, no? Okay, that creamy cosmetics, they are okay often mixed with this beeswax. It is a natural product, so it doesn't have much side effects. So we can make use as a cosmetic. And it is also used in polishes. Okay, polishing different articles. Okay, and next, the increased demand of honey has led to large-scale beekeeping practices. So now the usage of this honey is increased. Generally, you can say, okay, the people at the age, at the age, okay, they used to give honey. Okay, because it is okay. They say that okay, it will improve the digestion of the of the child. So the increased demand of honey has led to large scale beekeeping practices. Okay, that means that before it was only a cottage industry. Now it was started as a large scale beekeeping industry. Okay, it has become an established income generating industry, whether practiced on a small or on a large scale. So whether they are placing as cottage industry or whether they are placed in large scale, okay, in both the way, okay, they are getting large income to the farmer, okay, of this beehive, of rearing of this beehive. Okay, and next, while undergoing beehive, okay, beekeeping, while the farmer is undergoing beekeeping, he has to follow certain management practices. For example, if a farmer, okay, if a farmer wants to maintain a beekeeping, he can't make it in the desert. He can't do it. Okay, he can't rear the honeys in a desert. If he kept the beekeeper or honeybees in a desert area, he will not get the product, the honey, because in the desert we don't find much plants. So the collection of nectar will be less, and the production of honey is also less. So the farmer will not get any benefit. So that means okay, so we need to have certain management practices while he was undergoing this beekeeping. So what are those practices? Beekeeping can be practiced in any area where there are sufficient bee pastures of some wild shrubs, fruit orchards, and cultivated crops. Okay, that means bee pastures. That means wherever the food for the bee is available, that is a nectar. Wherever the nectar is available, in sufficient quantities. There we can keep at any place where there is a full of trees which are having flowers, large amount of flowers, and nectar is available. That is a sufficient bee patches of some wild shrubs or fruit orchards. Okay, if you are growing a large number of okay, fruit yielding plants like citrus or mango or any other, okay, where the bees can get this pasture, bee pasture. Okay, and the cultivated crops. Okay, and next there are several species of, okay, that is the primary thing a farmer has to remember while he was keeping the bees or while rearing the bees for the sake of honey. And next, there are several species of honeybees which can be reared. Okay, there are, already I told you, there are several species of bees in different parts of the world. We'll use different okay, varieties of bees for obtaining the honey. So there are several species of honeybees which can be reared. Of these, the most common species is Apis indica. India, we are using Apis indica, the local variety of India. So that's why it is named as a Apis indica. That means it is representing that it is the native of India. Apis indica. Okay, there are other species also there. Apis mellifera, Apis dorsata. Okay, Italian bee, Apis mellifera. Apis dorsata, Indian rock bee, that is wild bee. And Apis indica, it is the bee that is normally we'll observe around us. Okay, like this we have got different species of Apis or bees. And next, when you observe the beehives, where we can keep the beehives? We can keep the beehives at any place. There is no restricted. But that beehive should not be disturbed. Should be placed in a place where it is not regularly get disturbed. So beehives can be kept in one's courtyard, on the veranda of the house, or even on the roof. So once okay, that is okay, we need a wooden box. Okay, in that wooden box, okay, we have to introduce the queen bee and some male bees. Okay, that one only slowly they get improved. So once you keep all these, there is no further any labor. Okay, there is no need of any other work. Okay, we have to leave it undisturbed for okay some days. After the beehive is constructed, the honey collected. Later we can collect the honey. That is simple. So we don't find much expensive.
From where we will get queen bee, sir?
What, ma?
From where we will get queen bee and male bee, sir?
Okay, that is obtained from the breeders. Okay, there are some special. Okay, for example, if you want to undergo fish farming, okay, where you will get the fish? Okay, the breeding
Aquarium.
places are there, no? Okay, some breeding places are there, no? Fish
Yes,
breeding
sir.
places. Okay, we'll go and we'll collect the young fish. Okay, we'll bring it and we'll place it in the pond and they will grow. In the same manner, okay, there are some breeding places for this because the honeybees normally they are not available, no. So there are some breeding places for that also. Some centers are there which are run by the government. So we can go and we can collect. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And we can bring and we can keep it up. Okay, so we can, but it should not it should be less disturbed. So beehives can be kept in one's courtyard. That means in your veranda, okay, in your place, nearby place, or on the veranda of the house, or even on the roof. Okay, and beekeeping is not labor intensive. That means here there is no need of much human activity. So there is no need of much labor. Okay, only at the time of okay, first keeping the beehive and later at the collection of the honey. Okay, these are the two places where they need the labor, and the remaining other in between there is no need. Okay, there is no need of any practice, any looking after and all that. No need. Just we have to keep undisturbed. Okay, and here beekeeping, though relatively easy, does require some specialized knowledge, and there are several organizations that teach beekeeping. Okay, when compared to other practices, that is fish farming, animal husbandry, and poultry farm management. Okay, when you compare to this, the beekeeping is relatively simple. Okay, relatively easy. But still requires some specialized knowledge, because that knowledge, minimum knowledge, some basic knowledge should be required while beekeeping. Okay, and that will be provided by several organizations for free. Okay, this is given very free for what are the different techniques that we have to follow. Okay, for beekeeping, that will be taught by the several organizations for free. And next, okay, what are the steps that we have to follow? The following points are important for successful beekeeping. Okay, the following points are important for successful beekeeping. What are those? Okay, knowledge of the nature and the habits of the bee. So that means what the bees will take as food material. Okay, in which environment they used to grow regularly. So what are the places where we can generally grow this one? Okay, that minimum knowledge we need to have. So knowledge of nature and the habits of bees. Okay, when they will go out, when they will come. Okay, how they will collect. So how when they are moving in and out. Okay, that minimum knowledge we need to know. And next, selection of suitable for keeping the beehives. So okay, we can't keep it. That's why we said, okay, where more plants are available, where more flowering plants are available, that's important, because they collect the nectar from the flowers only. No, so more flowering plants like shrubs. Okay, that is the plants which will grow in groups. Okay, are orchards, fruit yielding orchards, or cultivated crops, where we'll find flowers regularly and more often. Okay, that places we have to select. So selection of suitable location for keeping the beehive. That's why they usually keep this beekeeping in the orchards. Okay, like citrus fruits, mango fruit. Okay, mango orchard or a citrus orchard. Okay, like that they used to grow. They used to keep these bees. And next, catching and hiving of. That means one batch is over, and again we want to start a new batch. Okay, for that we need a minimum bees to start up the new one. So that how we can catch up, how to collect those this queen bee, and how we can develop this and produce a large number of bees. Okay, that minimum knowledge need to be net. Okay, is to be noted. Okay, catching and hiving of swarms. Swarms means here the eggs, how the eggs are hatched, how they can able to develop into the young ones. Okay, that one we need to understand. And next, management of beehives during different seasons. Okay, management of beehives during different seasons. That means in different okay, it will be different environmental conditions will be there. No, so in different environmental conditions, how we can manage? Okay, during the flowering season, during non-flowering season. Okay, what the ways we can adopt? so that we can get honey throughout the year. And the last one, handling and collection of honey and of beeswax. So how to collect the honey? Okay, once you check when they are collecting the honey, they will not completely remove the beehive. Only some part of the beehive, okay, is removed, and from that they will collect the honey, and they leave some part of the hive in that wooden box, and later again that one will be continued to grow. So that management, okay, that is handling and collection of honey and of beeswax. That means after collecting all the honey from that beehive, the leftover structure will be having the beeswax. How it is purified? Okay, how it is purified? Because that consists of pollen grains also. Honey also consists of pollen grains mixed up, because they store pollen grains as a food material, these honeybees. So along with the honey, the pollen grains, and along with the beeswax, the pollen grains may be mixed up. So we have to filter and we have to collect the pure ones. Okay. And next, we all know very well, bees are the pollinators of many of our crop species, such as sunflower, brassica, apple, and pear. Okay, now we will get no Kashmir honey. Okay, the bottle, on the bottle, okay, we can observe Kashmir honey. Why this guy? Okay, from where means they will grow in the apple orchards. Okay, this honey, okay, these bees are reared in the apple orchards, because in okay, northern part we'll find mostly this apple orchards. Okay, and in okay, sunflower and brassica. Okay, they are very good pollinators. Okay, as they are good pollinators, that's why we are placing. That means it is helping both plants as well. Okay, the farmer is getting benefited. Okay, in both he is getting the high yield as well as high yield from the crops. At the same time, he is also getting some income from the by keeping this bee. So is getting benefited. So